Not the 90s R&B like vibe. The 90s,
Hey.
I saw Telly getting down with the
Girl,
90s R&B
no,
vibe.
it's. I got lost. I forgot we were supposed to be filming a show, but whew, that summer
Happy
vibe, girl.
Saturday. We are both a little under the weather, so pardon my voice. I think this voice is
Sending
fine. But
you positive vibes and healing and all the good stuff.
thank
Yeah, I
you.
hope you guys feel
Thank
better
you.
soon.
But we got quite a show, so we wanna get in.
Yeah.
I love the title you guys put out for the show, and ask the question: would you allow your man to step out on your marriage? So, before we get into that, I want to thank Radio Region and iHeartRadio for hosting us. And as usual, we're going to introduce ourselves in alphabetical order.
Hey everybody, this is Garcia. I'm so happy to be here with my Not Your Typical Girl Talk brethren. This is a show where we talk about the foolishness that is on the internet, presenting itself every week, and we are here to talk about it, giving you the Black perspective on things, how things look to us. And again, the Black perspective, it's the only perspective you really need to know. Right? So that's what we are here to do. And I'm so happy to be here and tell you what is going on.
There's too much going on. That's the problem. There's too much going on. Hello, everyone. My name is Telly. And yeah, I'm here for it. We're gonna discuss some stuff. I thought that the R. Shelley tour was over, but the R. Shelley tour, she got the keys to ignition. She's brought in fresh. R. Shelley is back on these streets. Looking for stepdaddy season. Women hide your sons again, because it is happening all over again. Sheba, what's wrong with this world? Tell me who you is, queen.
Not the R. Shelley. The R. Shelley tour. I am Toshiba. They call me Sheba. I am the final female member. And yes, the R. Shelley tour is on full effect. Like the internet, man. Again, not the internet. The internet just keeps on giving so that we can have this show. It is going to be quite the show. So I'm going to let my partner in crime introduce himself.
Once again, it's Robbie 3 times.
Are we three or tree, like Jamaica?
Three times.
3 times, okay. I want to make sure.
And I just wanted to clarify, even though we're not feeling good, it's not the Omarion variant.
Yeah, we don't have the Omarion.
Right? Sorry, Omarion. It's just they're so close together.
We don't have the Omarion.
We don't have the Omarion.
He should bank on this. Write a song. I'm sure it will go to #1 in like minutes.
His Black Twitter done turned the Omicron into the Omarion. So we do not have the Omarion. But what we do have is some interesting stories. And I'm guessing we need to start with the R. Shelley one, because we're just going to run through that one. So if you don't know who R. Shelley, it's Brittany Renner. People have been referring to Brittany Renner as R. Shelley because of her relationship and having a baby with PJ Washington. Now, we are actually Team Brittany Renner. I want to make this clear.
Yeah.
We are all about Brittany. I think for whatever reason, we all seem to have a soft spot for her. However, this week, she came up with some shenanigans, one of which we're going to play our recording. And the other one, I'll have to find it, but it was basically her presenting herself in front of some young gentlemen at Jacksonville State University. And she was supposed to be warning them about what happens once they make the league and have to deal with women like herself. And my girl showed up in basically her panties. Like,
pretty much, yeah.
So,
yeah.
In this episode called What Struggles This, Brittany Renner is going to be telling you about the struggles that she's been having since she decided to leave her boyfriend. Now, let me be clear. She decided to leave her boyfriend, the father of her child, when the baby was 2.5 months. And now she's sharing some of her, I don't even know what to call it. I guess struggle. That's why we called it what we're working through. But let's hear Brittany tell you in her own words.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second.
Place
Oh,
today.
Give me one moment because it was on
When I
pause.
tell you, I've been done. Okay, like I live with my mom and my sister. Me, my mom, my sister, my baby. I mean, because 2.5 months when I decided to leave. If it was 2.5 months old, I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't even have a car. I still don't have a car. I got rid of my car. And promised whatever, but I've been thinking so hard, it just has really been the hardest time of my life. And here I am. Because I thought somebody, right. Yeah, that day. Don't ever relinquish your independence for a relationship. Follow your dreams, not your boyfriend. A man is not a financial plan. Always have your own thing. I honestly feel like this situation, I don't think, even if I was married, I can't see myself not having my own house outside of, like, I would just have that space. Maybe that would change the time. But also, it's crazy. Like, people, they want to see you fail. Oh, they want to see you fail. When you don't, they have no control of everything. They can't do anything because all you fucking do is win. Like, God, this girl's still here. Because I thought somebody. God, it was a scam. I thought. Y'all say thank you to the people on all social media platforms that continue God on God. That continue to support me. Because this is a fucking privilege to have. I'm so fucking thankful. I swear to God, I see the world with a whole different set of eyes now. I really do. Thank you for the people who continue to support me despite the fuckery that I've had to endure after being lied on. Thank you to my real friends and my family that aren't yes men, that have my fucking back. Because that's about the only reason I my sanity. Just thank you. And thank you to the universe for redirection. Thank God I didn't get what I thought I was. That's okay. I'll take a few months of disappointment over a lifetime. I forgot that. Leave after the first one. People can change. They would. When people are lying about what they're lying about, coming back from that front. That's how you rock. If that's how you rock, and I am. A lot of people are afraid to leave relationships. Fear of missing out. Like, oh, I built this person up. No one else is going to reap the benefits. I don't want to start over. I'm scared. Oh my God. Especially as a mom. Because fucking moms are ashamed for everything. No one's going to want to be with you as a kid, There's just fear of the only time you look stupid is when you allow yourself. You don't look stupid when something doesn't work out. And bitch, you've had enough. Or not even doesn't have to be. I had enough. This doesn't work for me. We are not a match. We are not a vibrational match. And I'm on my way. If anything, I'm smart, bitch. Because I don't have time to wait. My energy is taken. I figure that stuff.
Okay.
So
Protect your mental health.
that's exact. She's having a complete and utter breakdown, and unfortunately, we are witness to her breakdown, and the people in her life who are having her record her breakdown for the world to see are not her friends or her real family, because there is no way I know you ladies would never be driving in a car and watching me putting that out on social media. You would be driving me to a therapist or something to have me deal with my mental health. This young woman has made decisions and made choices in her life, and unfortunately, they're coming back to bite her. But the problem is she now has a baby that she's supposed to be taking care of. And it's a very sad situation. And we can't even, like, it's one of those things where you question, like, where are your people? Because it's a cry for help. It is, but no one's answering her cry. That's what I've got to say.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Rob.
Well, first, it sounds a little goofy when you're in a car complaining about not having a car. Just saying that's not good for the
struggle.
If you're looking for empathy or sympathy, you shouldn't be driving around in whatever that is. It's some type of SUV, obviously. But if you don't have a car, how are you driving? So you got to rent on something or whatever. Whatever. But what I really wanted to come back on is the point of she left her child's father after 2.5 months. So it takes 10 months for a child to incubate.
Absolutely.
So 10 months to make the baby at least. Because we all know we can make a baby in a night. Okay, so let's say 10 months to bake the baby, 2.5 months after the baby comes out the oven, you gave the relationship. That seems a little like the definition of what we talk about, making permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. Now, what their relationship really made me think about was this. As an older woman dating a younger man, how would you put your monogamy expectations on him, knowing what you went through from 22 to 29, where you're now at?
Of what she has in a book.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
It seems like you're asking more of him than you were able to do at that same stage in your life.
Yeah, I completely agree. The thing I have to say about Brittany is, okay, she's out here, looking for sympathy. She's been quoted saying, "Imagine what it must be like to be a 29-year-old woman with a child." I'm like, what? But not 21, 29.
Not 16.
Not 16 with a baby, but 29 with a baby. A baby that you had with an NBA player. I'm sorry, but this is just me talking. We all know single moms here that had babies very, very young, right? And, some of them didn't have their parents to let them move in.
No.
You can stay with me while you get your life together. Some kids have babies and they literally just have to go straight to the shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And start filling out paperwork to give their baby away.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about how you're struggling as you drive to your brand new apartment.
Girl, that's a loft.
It was a
beautiful loft too.
In a rented SUV, perhaps.
Very pretty.
Talking about how you're struggling, and the first thing you buy is a keyboard. Like,
girl,
it's very hard to look at her and say, "Girl, oh my goodness, let's help you." Now, does she need help? Definitely. She does need help in so many aspects. I think in one of our group chats, I was like, listen, this is what she needs. And I listed off like 6 or 7 different types of professionals and experts that she needs.
Yeah.
Because she is so broken that she is not aware of her situation. She actually she's almost acting as if she's not in her life, like she's disassociated from what's happening.
I agree with
Good
you.
point.
I agree with you.
Good point.
Yeah.
What bothers me is that, because I'm always about the comments, so I was scrolling down the comments, and it's like, girl, she made a lot of money. We talked about this in our planning call. She's made some decent money. Her Insta modeling career has skyrocketed. She made a book. It was self-published. She basically found out, and she made some really good money. So what happened to all that money? Why are you now living with your mom and your sister? And you're struggling the way you're struggling. I get it. But then, like people said in the comments, nothing is wrong with giving this beautiful baby to the father, since he is financially stable to take care of this very young child that you're claiming you can barely afford, because you claim you can't survive.
Okay, so fix your life and make the baby.
So let the baby stay with the father. Men are very clear. He can take care of his kid. And you fix you until you're able enough to stand on your 2 feet, and then you two figure it out. Sometimes I feel like she's using this whole thing as a ploy, because we just saw her sitting down with Uncle Kevin, and all of us were like, all right, girl, okay, maybe this is the breaking point. I thought that this was like a miraculous breakthrough. Like Jesus finally touched her head, and something's going to happen now in the positive light. But it's like she took 2 steps forward and 1,000 steps back.
And for women who think that is a crazy idea, give a baby to a daddy. I was raised by my dad at a very young age. Men are more than capable of raising young children, especially young boys. It's a boy. PJ Washington III. It's his son. If your life is that, and she's trying to act like her life is a wreck. It's not. On the outside looking in, girl, your life is not a wreck. Your mental health is in question, but your life as a whole, as a mother, and like Rob said, you made the choice. And I know she goes on and on about being lied to and so forth. And we were not, she said something that I thought was interesting. We were not a vibrational match, but you had a baby. When did you figure out you were not a vibrational match? Because you had a baby for a man with whom you now claim you were not a match. I don't feel sorry for you. You, at 29 years old or 28, this was a younger man. You, in all intensive purposes, were the more enlightened, smarter, more experienced person. So when did you decide you were not a match with a man with whom you decided to have a baby? And this man clearly loved you and that baby enough that that baby is named after him. There is no bigger claim than to be a second or a third or a junior.
Absolutely.
Named after him.
Absolutely.
So please, Brittany, you need some help. And I'm even going to show you. This is going to be the last thing we say about Brittany. Let me explain to you why Brittany just doesn't understand who she is. She was given a chance by Deion Sanders to come and speak to some Jacksonville University, again, football players. Let us just see how Brittany showed up to this event.
Oh dear.
You don't even need to see that. This is Brittany.
And for those listening on internet radio syndicated through iHeartRadio, thanks to Radio Region, think about Kim Kardashian in her Skims. We all know what Skims are. Nude color. The shorts with the little top in nude color on a high-res black girl. And she wore that into a room of about 70 to 100 young men under 25 to talk to them about their careers in her Skims, her nude colored Skims.
Well, girl, don't you know what? She's still on tour. It's Stepdaddy season. R. Shelley strikes again.
Because that's exactly what it looked like. It did not look like someone to be taken seriously. And listen, we're not, let's be clear, I'm all about, as a woman, being comfortable in your skin and dressing in a way that makes you feel comfortable. But you were hired to be in a professional setting. Deion Sanders paid her. This is a job. There are certain outfits I'm not going to wear in my closet here to show up at a job. I will wear it for the club, but I'm not showing up in a job in it or to church. You were hired to do a job.
Right. That part.
And on top of that, there's a reason polar bears aren't bright orange. Like, if you was going to R. Shelley, why'd you go dressed like R. Shelley? Like,
I mean,
So, Brittany, we wish you the best. You probably will be hearing from
Again?
one or all of us at one point. We please fix your mental health, and if you friends of Brittany Renner, please help her because you guys are not being the type of person she needs right now. She needs someone, anyone, and right now it does not look like she has anyone, and she's now responsible for raising another human. Brittany, give that baby to its daddy. And the daddy can afford a night nurse, a day nurse, a cook, a nanny, like everything until you're in a space to take care of that baby.
Exactly.
Speaking of babies.
Speaking of babies, girl.
So now we have a older lady,
Yes.
old enough but young enough to have a baby with a young man.
Yes.
And now we're going to speak about a lady who is much older than her husband and not in a space to have a baby. Now, like the Sid said, would you loan your man out to have a baby with someone else, expecting him to then come back after the baby? Ladies, would you loan your man out and then tell him to come back?
Personally, no. I know there are lots of women that have, for reasons to each their own. I'm not going to come out here and say that everyone has their own opinion, so do you. But for me personally, I would not. I try to find another way to have a kid. There's adoption. I don't know. I can't. No, I don't want to plant that seed in his mind. No.
So for me, I agree with Telly completely. And my reasoning is it's basically based on what I've seen in my life. I have never seen a man step out purposely to go have kids with another woman and then return back to his wife and say, hey, I'm back. I've never seen that happen smoothly without drama. Also, this is a biblical thing. This is not new. Like, this has happened in the Bible for anyone that's cool. The kings would do this all the time. The queen would be like, go to the concubine, have a kid. But there are stories in the Bible where the king would go do this, but then he would stay with the concubine.
There you go.
I guess, I mean, Rob, I know you'll have more about this, but I'm sure that most men would just stay with the woman they had a baby with. I don't see the man going. I don't know.
If he does, I'm sorry. The drama is you're setting yourself up for a great reality show.
Yeah.
My take's a little bit different again, of course. First and foremost, it comes from the perspective that, deep down inside, I don't believe men should be in charge of reproduction. We just shouldn't. It should not be on us what babies get born and which ones don't, because we're not. That's why historically it's been it doesn't work like that in nature. There's no other animal where the males mate indiscriminately. You know what I mean? They have to beat up another guy. They gotta be brighter than another guy. They have to do something better than another dude.
Right.
But anyway, so the idea that he's gonna step out and come back is kind of like, no. But one thing that didn't make sense is, say if we were in that situation, she would manage the process. That would make more sense because men shouldn't be in charge of reproduction.
I agree.
So, for those who are just tuning in, we are actually speaking about Tammy Roman and her husband, Reggie Youngblood. Tammy, if you do not know, was once engaged to Antoine Walker. She has 2 kids with him. She was on Basketball Wives LA. You may follow Tammy on Instagram. She's under the Bonnet Chronicles. Very hilarious. Tammy's great. Tammy is 51. Her husband, Reggie Youngblood, is 34. She was recently on The Real Daytime, and she had a few things to say about her desire to have a child and her husband wanting a child. So give me a second. I'm going to here we go.
You definitely speak your truth. And recently, you and your husband, Reggie Youngblood, you guys talked about that you're considering surrogacy. Oh, wow. Any updates? Anything you want to share with us? Or how are you guys doing?
Yeah. It's on pause.
Is it?
Okay, yeah, I feel like I'm at a point where my career is starting to do and reward me for all of my efforts and the time that I've been in this business.
Yeah.
And a baby for me right now would just
not be the thing to do.
Yeah.
So what I offered him was an opportunity for us to take a break for a year or two and let him go find someone to have a child with.
Stop it.
And then when he has his baby, we could get back together.
You would genuinely be okay with that?
Hold on. So you're giving him permission. So what happens, let's say he follows through and has this baby. Do you help raise the baby?
I would help raise the baby. It's just I don't want to have it. I don't want to go get my eggs and all that. It's really more about him being able to have his legacy here because he's an only child.
And he doesn't have children.
And he does not have any children. So it's really more for him than it is for me.
Would the baby's mother be around to also raise the child?
Yeah, I believe in co-parenting. I think that's a very valuable part of a child's life. If the parents aren't together, you need to learn how to co-parent.
Yeah.
And then, I can be there and love the child as if
that is very selfless.
It was my own.
I can't say as a woman I would give my man permission.
Yeah.
What you get to do during that year?
Well, I'm
her career.
I am a one penis woman, so even though we will be on break, I would not entertain any other men because that would still be my husband. I'm just giving him the opportunity to go out.
And he can only have it with one. You find that one woman for the one child. This is not a free for all year.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But he said.
What did he say?
He said.
I was gonna say.
I don't want that. I fell in love with you. You're the woman that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And if God put me here and I'm not supposed to have children, then that's what it is.
How did you feel hearing that?
It was a blessing and a curse because I was like, he really loves me. But then at the same time, I felt like I was being selfish. Like our relationship has a selfish element to it because I really do want him to have children. I just can't be the person to do that.
But you know what? You can have children in all different ways now, right? In terms of adoption and all.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I have never heard a woman say that, and it's amazing.
Yeah. She's a first for a lot of things, okay?
I'm gonna start because I understand Tammy's perspective. At 21 years old, after having a child, I made a decision. I didn't want to have any more children. It was not the easiest decision for a lot of people to deal with. It was very easy for me to make, but it wasn't easy because, as you can imagine, back out on the dating pool when I was like 23, me and her father lasted for about a year after her birth. Trying to date men in their latter 20s, early 30s who didn't have children, who wanted children, didn't work. And so I made a decision. Listen, this isn't going to actually work because if I don't want children and eventually one day you will want children, and men can have children at any age. You can have a 60-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman together having a baby. So the last thing I wanted to do was invest my good time and go ahead and be with a man for 20, 30 years, and then he turns around and I'm 45, and it's like, yeah, I can still have a baby. This is wasted years. I think Tammy, first of all, I don't think those hosts were good hosts because they didn't ask her the question. It was disingenuous.
Yep.
Yes, and a lot of people
Definitely.
did mention they were
I
not
wish they
proud.
dug more.
They weren't proud of Garcelle's way of taking
No,
it.
it's like Sister Black. Come on, girl, dig.
Right? It was a disingenuous thing because the reality, like Rob said prior to me playing the clip, if that was our situation, first of all, I don't want a child in a broken home. And Rob going out there and having a child with someone else and talking about co-parenting, now we have another Black child in a broken home. So I'm not going to do that. But the reality is, if that's what Tammy actually wanted, Tammy would navigate the situation with Reggie. They would go out and find a woman for him to do that. That woman would be brought into their home. And for all intents and purposes, they would be in a trouble. Mm-hmm. There would not be we're co-parenting and the child lives over here with the mom or whatever the situation is. Tammy has made it clear. Not only is she unable to have a baby, she doesn't want one. She doesn't want to raise. I get that. I don't want to do it either. I couldn't see myself having a baby and raising a baby from small. It's not for me. I don't care for it. She was being disingenuous by saying, I don't want to have another child. I've already done it. I want to live my life. But my husband needs to do it. So I just think it was like, oh my God, oh, Tammy, that's so great. But if they really dug deeper into the situation, they would feel how disingenuous. She gave him an offer she knew he would refuse. That offer would be refused. However, if she had said to him, Reggie, here's the situation. You know I don't want this kid. You want this kid. How about this is what we're going to do? We're going to navigate the situation together, because when you do it together, there is more things. They can decide what kind of woman, what age, what her background is, all of those things, and they can go and search for that woman. But if she thinks some woman is going to have Tammy Roman's husband, have a baby with him, and be so quick to just let him go back home, girl, bye.
Yeah, I remember when we talked about this, I said the only way it could work is if it was a situation where they both sat down and literally wrote down, here is the dream woman to bring into this. We will interview her. If I don't like her, she is not coming here, basically. And I think that if it were a situation like that, then you're cutting out the co-parenting drama. You're cutting out the idea that, and this is of no offense to anyone, but what if he had the baby with a sex worker or someone who is from the wrong side of the street? You're going to allow this person to come into your life. When you're allowing a person like that into your life, the woman and the man need to come together and literally say, this is the person we're going to do this with. The baby will live, you know, here. The woman will have this sort of access to the home. Yes, a whole entire thing. I think it's dangerous just to say, okay, bye for a year. And he just takes off and goes to wherever, sleeps with the wrong woman. Because, yeah, he could impregnate any woman. But what if she's the wrong woman for the relationship you currently have?
And there's definitely wrong women.
Yeah, and that's my issue with the whole thing. And also, yes, I think that the host could have done a better job in outlining what she truly meant, because on the surface, it's like, why wasn't this a whole hour-long conversation? But anyways.
Reset the room, chick.
So yeah, thank you for joining us, guys, on Radio Region, syndicated through iHeartRadio. Thank you to everyone that is listening to us here on IG or out there on internet radio, syndicated through iHeartRadio. Thank you, Radio Region. Thank you, everyone, again for joining us. And let's get back to the show. We are currently talking about choices.
Letting out your mind.
This whole thing is about choices.
Here's the thing with me, though. Like, first off, you guys are absolute. I'm glad you called it out. Like, that whole energy of that show was like a hen house. It was just a bunch of ridiculousness, a bunch of like self-congratulations and patting on the back. Like, oh, you're so awesome for saying that. No, you're so awesome for saying that. And it just sounded like a bunch of that. And the second point of it being is, I agree with everything you guys said, other than the fact that Reggie dumbass ain't gotta have nothing to do with it, honestly. She could go out on dates with the women and interview them, and Reggie's only real feedback is whether little Reggie works when they close the door. That's the only thing he has to actually do with this woman. Okay, men are simple. If she comes home with a girlfriend, do you think I'm like, you know, let me interview her and make sure I like her, and you know, I like her style choices. And, no, I'm like, okay, good thing, good idea, because she brought her home.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm? Now, if I bring a woman home, Lord knows what could happen.
It's a different story, my friend.
I do not trust him
story, my friend.
You don't trust me.
I do not trust him to do that. Okay, not at all.
So again, Reggie don't have nothing to do with it.
Run, Bobby, 3 times.
If Tammy was really being sincere, she would find that woman for Reggie. That's all I gotta say.
It's true. You know what? You're treated like a business transaction. You know, there'll be contracts made. She's gonna sit down,
clearly outlined,
go out for tea, for coffee, and job interview if that's how you want to go about it.
Just like
she knows what he's attracted to. She knows what he likes. Like, Reggie don't have to have anything to do with that process. If she was really sincere, she would find that woman for Reggie.
Because the
It's so
reality
true.
is, Reggie could go out and meet a woman who now has 2 or 3 other kids, and she has his kid. Like, that is even a thing. Like, when we talk about bringing in a third into our relationship, we've outlined, like, a person who doesn't have kids or even doesn't want kids. If they do have kids, the kids are older kids, so the kids are like, there's been a full outline of what type of woman works in our situation. And we will not be okay until we find that type of woman. So again, Rob going out there and doing it, God knows what he would bring home. Like, I'm sorry, like Phoenix is just, no, like, no, thank you. So for her to think that her husband is going
For
to
the dog owners out there, if your dog ever bought you a dead bird, like, look what I got for you. And you're like, it's a dead bird, eek. But your dog is like, no, what do you mean? I did that for you.
Like, honestly, like, even if you think about the dynamic of a family looking for a nanny,
right?
You know, a man and a wife looking for a nanny.
Yeah,
we've seen the situation before in reality shows. I remember specifically in Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta, when Kirk brought home a girl saying she's gonna babysit our son.
This girl was
and young little
22-year-old
and
fine-looking lady.
Rashida was just looking at him like, "Excuse me."
That's
what?
the thing.
No. No. I will look for the babysitter. I am going to find the damn babysitter. And you're just going to be like, okay, she's here to take care of the kid.
Yeah.
He brought home some girl in some Bati Rider shorts. I remember I was like, that woman could not be around my man talking about your baby. No.
That was a football situation. Here's the thing. You got to make the intention clear whether this is a throuple or actual nanny. If it's a nanny, it should look like Mrs. Doubtfire or somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Because again, the man should not have nothing to do with the decision. Because if you're interviewing a female, what do you think is the most important criteria for the dude?
Her look.
Take a wild guess.
Her look.
Fine.
Youth.
Okay.
And why do you think that is?
Because you're a man.
Tight and right.
So don't fall for the bait. If you're actually looking for someone purely to watch the kids get Mrs. Doubtfire, if you're looking for a throuple, then you want to get somebody a little hotter. You know?
And so,
and leave it to the woman to do that.
That's it.
Yeah,
and leave it to the woman to do that.
Thank you. And so I think the whole praising her and, oh my God, like, you're the first woman I've ever heard. I've actually given an ex that offer. I remember being 23 and it was my first boyfriend after trans dad. And I remember, you know, he was established. We're like 2 years apart. So he was like 25. He lived in Detroit, worked for General Motors, already had his own home. Like, on paper, this man was freaking awesome, but he didn't have kids. And I remember saying to him, I was like, this isn't going to work long term, because the reality is you're never going to be able to continue your legacy with me. Like, I fundamentally did not believe in having children with different men. It wasn't going to happen. So I remember looking at him and saying, if you think I'm the person that you want to, then we need to go out and find you a woman to have a baby with, because I won't be her. You know what I'm saying? He kind of looked at me crazy, but I was like, at 25, I knew enough, 23, I knew enough to say, let's go out together and go and do that. Tammy is 51. It is completely disingenuous. She knows that this man loves her enough to say whatever, but also what she fails to realize is in 20 years, when he's 54 and she's 71, he can still have a baby. He can still make that decision. They are making permanent decisions on temporary feelings. And that is the reality of this situation. And that is what Rob and I talk about all the time.
Yes.
Do not make permanent decisions on temporary feelings. And right now, he might think, great, I want to support my wife. Her career's going wide. But guess what? Her career maybe has another 10 years.
Right.
And 10 years, Reggie's still only 44. But guess what? She's 61.
Yeah.
And at 44, no, she's actually doing really, really well right now.
Really, really well. How?
She's got the Bonnet Chronicles. She's going on movies. No,
So she's trying to be the Black Mirror. Seriously, come on. She's 51, and I'm not trying to be a dick right now.
You are.
But
You are.
what is your career trajectory starting at 51? So we're going to cut off everything before that and just say, okay, you got hot at 51. So how many years of hotness does she have ahead?
But you're not, it's not really that, because you got to remember, Tammy was in the original,
He was talking about her career.
she was in the original Real World. Because funny enough,
I
Real
know,
World
that's why I don't
is,
like her. She
let's
got
try.
the other black dude kicked off.
Oh, yeah,
I'll always remember that. I will always
This
remember that.
It's personal.
Somebody raped her because he pulled the cover off.
That's not.
That was what happened. I was
traumatized. It's personal.
But, you know,
She didn't
I
say
look at it
that.
like
The
this,
two
right?
white
I look
women.
at people like, you know, I look at
Oh.
people like J-Lo and Halle Berry, who are both in their kind of mid-50s now.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about when they had kids later in their life, to where it was dangerous, technically, to have children. And if they didn't have the money they had, probably they wouldn't have been able to carry through the pregnancies they carried through. But, you know, bless them, they're okay. However, I get it in a sense. When you're 51, even if you can, you shouldn't, especially if, you know, her at 51, she doesn't have the, say, length of career as a Halle Berry or J-Lo. Like, even for Halle Berry and J-Lo, they have maybe a couple more years to say, okay, we're sexy and hot, before things start to fall, where they can't work out as much as they can. So, and this is why it's hard for women in a way where equality and stuff, and it's like, time really does one on women. Mick Jagger is still having kids, right? And he's like, what, 80? So for women, it's like, when you're getting the money, it's like, okay, I gotta keep this moving. I can't stop, because if I stop, that's 2-3 years of youth gone down to where I could have been using that for my career. My issue is that she knew that he knew how old she was. So why is it such a thing for her? Like, I'm not, you know, maybe I'm just selfish, but I don't understand why she cares so much about him when he doesn't care about it.
Here's what was funny about that whole little clip of an interview. After her saying all of that, the host turned around and said, oh, there's so many other ways to have kids. You know, there is adoptions, there's all of that. The woman said she doesn't want the effing kid. Like, that's basically what she said. Not only am I unable to have the kid, I don't want the kid. I don't want to have to raise it. I don't want to have to feed it. I don't want to have to change it. I don't want to have anything to do with those kids, because she's got 2 daughters in their mid to late 20s. She's done. She would be doing this for her husband, and she really don't actually even want to do that. So again, this is why these hosts were just crappy in this interview.
Very
because
crappy.
they were not listening. They did not hear what this woman said. She doesn't want to have the baby. And what she did was put something out knowing that he wouldn't catch it. You understand what I'm saying? She knew her man was not going to say, okay, honey, let's put our relationship on pause for 2 years, and I'm just going to be slinging raw penis all around the city of LA to go find me a baby mama. Because if this man has married you, he clearly is commitment minded. He doesn't want a baby mama. That's the part. And this is important, ladies. This is why it's even more disingenuous. This man married her 3 years ago at 31 years old when she was like 48. They were together previous to that. So he got with her when he was in his 20s and she was in her 40s. Okay? This man is marriage minded. Why would you send a marriage-minded man to go out there and get a baby mama? Does that make sense?
He doesn't want one. He has a one woman.
If he wanted a baby mama, he would have had a baby mama before he got with her.
That's it.
Right. And again, that's something where it's like, why didn't they dig more into that? Like Rob said, these, like, I'm sorry, I hate it when people do that. Oh, that's so unique. Oh my God, that's so, oh my God.
So you're so brave.
Oh my God.
So brave to put him out there.
I'm like, what is this? So what was the point of this interview if you weren't going to bring out a point or a solution or something that would enlighten everybody?
And here's
that
my
should have been a
thing.
whole hour episode. It should have been. That's a deep topic.
And I think here's the thing about both Brittany's situation and Tammy's situation. What conversations are people really having before they decide that they're getting into relationships? Like,
They're not
because I
having
have
any.
to question, you have people who their relationship ends and they're in it saying, well, now, now I wasn't a vibrational match. And now years later, I'm sending my husband out there to have a baby. Like, I was very clear about what I wanted, what I didn't want, what I could tolerate, all of that. You weren't going to get any babies out of me. I don't want any babies. All of these things were put on the table. We talked about cheating, what that would look like, cheating in a relationship, my sexuality, how that would impact the relationship. If we moved, all of these different things, where we wanted to live 10 years from now. Like, what conversations are people really having? Are people just falling in love and just saying,
Yes.
okay, well, we're good? Because we
Yes.
talked about, I said, by 2025, I don't want to be living in North America. I want to go back in Jamaica. Is that something that's good for you? Because if North America and America is where you want to live forever and a day, we ain't a match because I'm out.
That's it.
These are conversations we were having. So what conversations are people really having when they're getting into relationships? Because are you only thinking about today? Because if you're planning to be together for 30, 40 years, are you thinking about the future?
You should be.
You're supposed to be, but like you said, people are just falling in love. There is no conversation.
And the idea of what love is, you know what I mean? I think a lot of what people feel is love is they're romanticizing it so much that they don't think they need to sit down and talk about, oh, okay, what's your religion? Okay, this is my religion. Are we going to raise our kid as this or that?
No.
Oh, okay, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Where do you want to live in 10 years?
No, they're not talking about that.
Do you want to retire? Is retirement something you want to do? Oh, you have a side hustle. Eventually you're going to want to do that full time. Oh, okay. Like, these conversations aren't happening.
Mm-mm.
Like I said, people aren't dumb. If I went and, let's say if I was 28 and I marry an older man and I'm shocked when he's like, oh, by the way, I want to have kids. And I'm shocked. People would immediately say,
did you not discuss this?
Did you not discuss that? Like, in any relationship I go into, one of the first things I have to say is I do not want to, like, give birth to children.
No.
Like, I don't want to.
Mm-mm.
And, because I like to live my life in a way where if I want to move to another country in 5 years, I don't have to worry about a child taking them with me. I can just worry about myself.
That's it.
And that's the reality. But if we're not having these conversations, we end up with the broken relationships.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like people are falling into lust, thinking that it's love, and they feel that their lust will unfold and somehow magically people will just magically be like, it'll just work because we're so in lust with one another. And it's like, no, you're just adding another problem. And then when these things do happen, everyone's shocked and terrified, like, oh my God, come on. I don't know why people are so afraid to have a conversation. I don't
That's why I got the T-smack, because I'm like, if you could pull Reggie to the side and be like, seriously, Reggie, you love Tammy so much that you don't want children ever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'd be interested what his answer to that question would be, because I'm pretty certain we know the answer to that. But the cap of, oh, we're so much in love and this is our story and all that, they're going to ride it until it ain't that story no more. Like, why not?
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing. The fact that they were even looking at a surrogate means that at some point the discussion of a baby, she wasn't as firm in her decision to not have a child. And that's the problem. You can't be wishy-washy. That's I haven't used that word, but it was a very wishy-washy way. Yeah. I have never been wishy-washy about my desire not to have any children. The Lord himself would have had to have come down and said that this is something I'm supposed to do. And I have met good quality men, okay, men like a PJ Washington who I could have popped out a baby for and collected some checks. I didn't want any more because, like Garcia said, the babies generally come with you, and I already had one coming with me. I wasn't going to have more than one, nor did I want children with different last names. I had big fundamental reasons. And so the fact that there was kind of a wishy-washy of, you know, maybe I'll have a kid, maybe we'll do a surrogacy. She wasn't firm, but now at 51 with her career and whatever is going on in their life,
Right.
she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. The problem is, you could almost say, did she get into this relationship with this man under false pretenses?
Yeah, because from watching, funny enough, the Kardashians, you see the steps in which it takes for surrogacy, and it's very expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
Anything to do with fertility, it's a huge market. There's loads of money, thousands. Like, it costs like $50,000 basically to have one kid, and there's no guarantee that you will get the kid. So it's a huge investment. And you started looking at surrogacy, meaning you already hired a doctor to look in the database. You started interviewing people. You started looking at prepping your womb, prepping that whole process of taking your eggs and putting them on ice, like, which is also painful and stressful for the woman. That's a lot of work to do for being like, maybe
50-50. May
like,
not work, and maybe.
So maybe she didn't really know what she wanted.
Yeah, I think that entire industry is kind of founded in delusion, like people just not being able
Agreed.
to reality and trying to manipulate the nature of reality. And it's very, you could have an ethics philosophy class just based on the science of reproduction. It's so out there, and you go somewhere like India and start hearing their story, like, oh, because they have the exact opposite problem over there. They have an abundance of babies.
Yes, they do.
And nobody to take them. So here we have this country, all these people can't have kids and want them. There you've got this country with all these babies and nobody that wants them. It would seem like some smart person somewhere might make a connection, even if it was in the interest of business. But
again, people want to have their own babies, right? And again, Reggie wants his own baby. It is clear. Reggie, like, I don't care what anybody says, Reggie wants a baby. He's a man. He's that they're both not being real with the situation. Temporary feelings should not create permanent decision. I'm going to repeat it again. Temporary feelings should not create permanent decision. They still at least have 30, 40 years of their life. Reggie a little bit more than Tammy. And so therefore, to think that, again, you're going to be in a space where in 10 years at 44, when this man is looking around and probably all of his friends have kids, and he's got all of these things happening, he's going to be like, holy crap, I made a wrong decision. And so again, I have to be able to tell people, when you're getting in relationships are practical. We have a relationship contract. This is not like it's an actual thing. We've had to sit down and talk about what life looks like right now, and what life will look like 3 years from now, and what life will look like 10 years from now, and understanding that there are going to be some changes in between that. And can we deal with some of the changes? And there are some things that are never going to change. There are some things for me that will never change. This is how it's going to be. This is how it's forever going to be, forever and ever. Amen. So again, and people are falling into lust, like Telly says, and not looking at the practical realities of what it means to integrate your life with another person and all of their crap that comes with them. Like, are you able to accept people's crap that comes with them? Because with him, I had to deal with his crap. With me, he has to deal with my crap. Can you intermingle all of that crap together? Because if you're living a life together, it is important to be honest about it. I don't think either of them are being honest. And I think her offer is disingenuous. I think the whole thing is going to blow up in her face more than his. Because again, Reggie can at 45 go pick up a 28-year-old woman, have a baby with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, just back to the Brittany thing quickly, I do want to mention, because she mentioned frequencies and, you know, and to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I am highly empathic, highly intuitive. But for me, I can tell you from the moment you come through the door if we are vibing at the same frequency. So I don't know why it took her all that time to figure it out.
She made a whole human. And then she realized, and she always said to herself, we're not on the same vibe path, but like, I'll create a whole life with you.
Human.
A whole human.
Question though, like for Tammy too. Because I just thought about something she said. Not only does he not have children, but he's an only child.
He's an only child.
So his
only child.
Families legacy is totally tied up in him. And you love her so much that you're okay with, even though that is the case, you're okay with him not having kids. I guess that's why they got the PRs. They pay, they paid Schwab and Charles or whoever they paid to craft that statement for them about this whole scenario they had going on. Because it doesn't, that totally bothers me because, like you said, if they met when he was 31 or something
No,
like
they
that.
married when he was 31.
Like,
they were dating when he was in his 20s.
Then again, and maybe it's because I don't like Tammy, but I blame her. Like, why isn't she with someone more age appropriate? Like, why did you get with a young man, an only child, knowing good and well that you did not want any more kids?
True that.
You did.
Yes.
And
we
and it's
that on our call.
A temporary statement for any young man talking about, I don't want kids either. He just.
Right. I met plenty of men who said, I don't want kids either.
Puppy love. Like, yeah.
Right,
exactly so.
Like, we were talking about relationships and people that we've all been interested in where they were significantly younger. And I, you did the same thing too, where I broke it off because I'm like, you are 31. You want the family.
Want a legacy.
You want all of that. And I'm happy for you. Go out and do it. I don't want that. So I'm going to go find some man who's probably already got 2 kids in their early 20s or maybe, 15 years old, whatever it is, and deal with that because he's already done that and he doesn't need me to do it.
Exactly.
So you do wonder too what she was thinking about when he was in his 20s and she was even younger and she didn't want to have, like, it's an interesting
Maybe
dynamic.
She got caught up in the whole, this young man is in love with me, and maybe she was taking it as an ego thing to herself. This young man is throwing flowers at her, basically, and she was caught up in that moment. Oh, look, everyone, I can attract this young man, and who knows? Who knows what got her to the altar?
They weren't looking at it from a practical standpoint. And again, if we want a Disney narrative love, and love is practical. If Rob and I had gotten together years ago when Rob did not have children, I would not have ended up with him because Rob is also an only child. I'm an only child for my mom, at least. I understand the importance. I had a child because it was also giving my mother her one grandchild. I understood. Giving my mother her one grandchild was important. So if I were to get what had gotten with Rob when he was like 28, we would not be here because I would have not been able to give Rob fundamentally what he would have wanted, which was a legacy. It doesn't matter how our chemistry was. It doesn't matter how any of that is. I can't give you what you actually want. Needs and wants, people. Needs and wants. And with that, we are going to go in and give our final thoughts.
So yes, my final thought is really think through every scenario when you're in a situation like a new relationship or even one that's established. Continuously think of how can I make this as drama-free as possible, because heard it in the show before, we say it here all the time, you are at cause, you're the one that makes the decisions, and yes, both decisions can suck, but at the end of the day, it is up to you. And the one thing that's common with these 2 people we just talked about, they made the decision on their own. Telly.
My takeaway is have the conversation and be okay with what the outcome of that conversation is. Because you're don't fall in, you're falling in lust. So whatever that person says, you're not going to like it possibly, but you have to accept that person's decision. And based on that, part ways. There's 7.1 billion people and counting on this planet. For everyone that doesn't agree with your decision, don't worry, you'll find somebody. But have the conversation.
Final words. Choices come with consequences. And can you deal with the consequences of your choices? And I think here we are with 2 people unable to deal with and have deluded themselves, more Tammy than Brittany, but have deluded themselves into the consequences that they're dealing with. So when you make a choice, remember every choice has consequence, especially when you're making a choice with another human being, and be okay to walk away. Sometimes, again, that situation isn't for you. Probably 3 times.
I'm going to kind of end on a really sober note. As I said earlier, I don't think men really should have any statement or voice in women's reproduction. With that being said, if you are pro-choice, I think it's really time for women to speak up more so than ever about that fact, because I think a lot of these situations happen because that's not a viable conversation being had. And as I made a statement before, if these women are getting pregnant these days, they're having that baby. It's not even a conversation anymore.
Mhm.
Or you're just talking about our show favorite Tristan Thompson. He's got another situation going on.
I
You know what
heard.
I'm saying? But look, women, if you are pro-choice, speak up loudly and proudly,
Yes.
because again, I'm not saying that's the first option, but it should definitely be an option. And I think the shame and the stigma around it is why it isn't an option a lot of times.
That part. Telly tell.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching and for listening. That's right, listen to our podcast through Radio Region, syndicated through iHeartRadio. A big shout out and thank you to both of them. Follow us right here on our Instagram account under the name Not Your Typical Girl Talk. We have a Facebook group or Meta, wherever they're going by now. Anyway, find us on there under the name Not Your Typical Girl Talk. Subscribe to our YouTube channel under the same name, Not Your Typical Girl Talk. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, for commenting. Join us every Saturday right here at 3 p.m. Eastern. You're Kirsia. I'm Telly. We got Queen Shiva. We got Robbie Frog 3 times. Listen, it's Saturday, y'all. We're here to make y'all happy, and we know you got some notes from our conversation.
Enjoy.
We're gonna dance it out. We're gonna okay. Whatever she's doing, we're gonna do it.
It's sunny in Arizona.
Thank
We're going to go get some sun.
you guys so much for watching, for listening. We love you, and until next time, bye.
You got a tambourine now.
Have a great time.